Hello and welcome to Good Morning Lancaster.
Today we'll be joined by Sam Possible from Belrig FM.
We also have a special appearance by Michael Mander, Associate Editor of Scan.
So stay tuned, it's 11 o'clock and you're watching Good Morning Lancaster.
Welcome back, I'm Siri Hampapur.
And I'm Craig Underwood. Thank you for joining us.
Let's bring you up to date with the latest news headlines.
One of the university's research centres has been granted funding to continue for an additional 5 years. The Centre for Corpus Approaches to Social Science will receive £2.5 million funding to continue their existing research and activities. The money has been provided by the Economic and Social Research Council for a focus in areas such as corporate communication, climate change and maritime security and language development.
It has been revealed that Campus in the City will be making a return this month. The initiative will be a 5-week project which aims to bring the world-class research conducted at the university to the public. The launch ceremony will be on the 24th of February and will continue to the 31st of March.
A sociology professor here at the university will receive a research award for outstanding humanities and social science work. Sylvia Walby OBE is one of the 8 top researchers who will be awarded €250,000 for research cooperation in Germany.
Lecturers and academics from across the university will be going on strike in 2 weeks' time. University College Union has called for staff to strike as part of a national dispute over staff pension schemes. Michael Mander, Associate Editor of Scan, has joined us today to discuss this situation. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Welcome.
So why are the lecturers participating in this? What reasons have they given?
So most lecturers and staff at the university are members of the University College Union, UCU, and certain members of staff, I think it's grade 7 and above members of staff, have had a change to their pension scheme, which UCU argue could cost some of them up to 50% of their pension. So members of staff might be losing out on their pensions. UCU did a national ballot to vote on whether or not staff should go to strike, and overwhelmingly staff voted that they would go on strike. So now the decision's been taken that all members of UCU will go on strike for 14 days against these pension reforms.
So obviously the major question for our viewers and the community around LA1 is, how will this affect students?
Yeah, so if you're a member of a union, you've got no legal obligation to tell anyone that you're a member of a union. So the university doesn't know how many staff are in UCU,
right.
And therefore they don't know how many staff will be striking. Apparently membership of UCU has risen since the strike was announced, so apparently it's gone up and more staff have joined, but still it's completely unclear how many staff will strike, how many staff will strike for the full time. There's also, in the middle of the strikes, there's another negotiation happening. So if that reaches a settlement, then the strikes might not continue for the full 14 days. So at this point, it's completely unclear.
The 14 days, the first 5, I believe, are the 22nd and 23rd, so that's in a couple of weeks' time. And then the following week, 26th, 27th and 28th. So you're saying after there?
Yeah, so following the 28th, there's a meeting between the UCU and UUK, which is Universities UK, where they'll negotiate over the pension reforms. If they can reach an agreement, then the strikes will be called off nationally. If not, the strikes will continue. But a big point is that 14 days of lost pay is quite a lot of pay to lose out in a year. So
of course, staff members won't be paid for any time they're there.
Staff won't be paid while they're striking, and for a staff member to lose 14 days of pay, that's half a month of pay. Some will choose not to, some will say, this doesn't matter that much to me. Some people just won't want to strike. So it's completely unclear how many people will be affected by the strike.
Yeah, I mean, the university released a statement as well on their views on the strike, and they said they do not view strike action at this stage as being conducted to finding a resolution. Do you think the universities, what do you think the university is doing about all these strikes?
Well, the university's in a bit of a tough spot because the pension scheme is the USS pension scheme, and 184 universities are subscribed to that scheme. It's a private scheme, so it's run privately for profit, and at the minute it's in a deficit. So it needed to be reformed to continue surviving, basically. The university, Lancaster University, doesn't have any say over that pension scheme and how it works. So, you know, there's not really anything the university can do at this point to stop striking. What the university could do, in theory, is come out in support of staff who are striking and speak more vocally against the pension reforms, which some members of UCU are arguing that they're not speaking vocally enough. But even if they were to come out in full support of staff, you know, the staff would still go on strike at this university. It's a national strike, so there's not much uni management can do here.
Right, because I've seen that the university is publishing a report. I don't know how much anyone knows about that, actually, but do you think that could give us some answers?
I think the university publishes a lot of reports and a lot of
Very true.
they publish a lot of information that isn't necessarily going to be relevant to us.
Yeah.
And as I say, at this point, when they know so little about who's striking, how long they're going to be striking for, what impact it's going to have, there's very little that can be done.
Yeah, I mean, they've also said that in the statement they recognise these concerns that the staffs have, but they've not also necessarily said that they don't agree with the strikes. They just don't think it's conducive to finding a resolution. The Students' Union, on the other hand, they've also released a statement which again almost sits on the fence. They've not really taken either side to the argument. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so both sides have generally expressed sympathy for the pension reforms, and it's worth noting that most of university management are also on this pension scheme, so they're being affected as well. But obviously, with much higher salaries, you know, the impact's going to be a lot less noticeable for them. But they are being affected as well. But LUSU has released their statement, which I think is supportive communication, and they're not taking.
LUSU have said they sympathise with the position of the UCU and their members, but in the best interest of their students, we do not wish to see this action go ahead and believe all sides of the debate have to play a part in reducing the impact of our members' education. So it's a support, but not a support.
Yeah, they've pretty much struck a balance. I mean, they've annoyed some people because at the end of the day, their role as a students' union is to support the students and make a decision on what's best for the students.
Yeah.
And are these strikes what's best for the students?
Of course, both sides will say.
I don't know.
Will say that their way is the right way of doing things.
But it was, you know, in my opinion, it was the SU's job to make a decision whether the strikes were right for students or not, and they haven't made that decision. Instead, they've said, make your own decision.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole point of an SU is that all students are banded together under a single, you know, a single argument or a single belief, and their resolution has been, oh, just have your own belief.
And they did actually release a sort of infographic on what to do if you don't agree with the strike. What do you think the reaction has been to that?
Yeah, as I say, there's a lot of people who feel quite strongly about these strikes. So you'll get people on both sides. I've heard students saying that it's ridiculous that lecturers shouldn't be striking for this amount of time. Equally, I've heard students saying, you know, lecturers should be going on strike. We should all be supporting lecturers. The union, like you say, has released information for both sides. How much impact we're really going to have on anything is questionable. When you think that our university management is going to have no impact on these strikes, realistically, you know, you sending a tweet is going to make no difference whatsoever. So how helpful that information is, I don't know. And how much attention we should be paying to it, I don't know.
Okay. Well, of course, there's lots of differing views, and SCAN, which is why you're here, is because you're associate editor. SCAN's been interviewing a lot of people, including Professor Sharon Hutley, who is the Pro Vice Chancellor for Education. And she has said that while stopping short of supporting the strike, they support the view that all staff have the right to take the option of industrial action, and they must balance this with their duty to students.
Yeah, so Professor Hutley was she held the view that strike action was a part and parcel of having a unionised workforce. And obviously
it's
the
always a risk,
university,
isn't it?
yeah,
It's
is a
always something
unionised
that
workforce.
happens.
Yeah. Her main concern was the welfare of students and the sort of academic progression of students, which I think is the concern across the board. But how that concern actually looks beyond saying we're concerned, I don't know. We asked about mitigating circumstances. She didn't confirm or deny. We asked about financial compensation. She didn't confirm or deny. We asked what provisions were being put in place. She said it was unclear what the impact would be, so she didn't say. So we didn't get too much from the interview, but you can read it all in Scan, which comes out on Monday. We've got interviews with her, people from Human Resources, Students' Union, UCU. So every side of the argument has been covered. And there's also opportunities on our website to have your own say. We've got polls and things like that, because we're really interested in what students are thinking about all this.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And it's the financial compensation that's been brought up again and again and again.
Yeah.
But I feel that from a lot of sides, especially the official sides, it's viewed as something that won't happen.
Financial compensation won't happen.
Okay.
I mean, you can say...
Realistically,
it's not going to happen. She compared it to, and this was before your time, but Storm Desmond, when the university closed for, I think it was just over a week due to the storm. She said, you know, this is a similar circumstance. It's out of their control. There's nothing they can do. She made the point that when you're paying for university, you're not paying for your day-to-day classes. You're paying for an education, whatever that is. So she made the point that, you know, you wouldn't receive financial compensation.
Experience.
I mean, I was speaking to
entails.
one of my lecturers who hadn't asked whether I can quote him, so he'll remain nameless. And he likened it to being part of a gym, in that if you went at the end of your month that you'd paid for your gym membership and said, oh, I don't look like Channing Tatum, you wouldn't get your money back. Whether or not I agree with that stance, I'm not sure, because...
Yeah, the thing is, demanding your money back is basically saying, okay, university is a private thing, like joining a gym. Joining a university is like joining a gym when it shouldn't be. Joining a university is about getting an education. It shouldn't be like that. But management is, you know, across the sector, is taking universities in this direction of marketised, private, you know, this is something you're paying for, you're a customer now rather than a student. And if they want to take it in that direction, then by all means we should, you know, embrace the label of a customer rather than a student.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone has their view on that, but I think if that's the direction they want to take it, then they need to expect these sort of demands.
There's actually a Facebook page that's been sort of circulating a bit to support getting financial compensation, and it's saying that they do support the staff for going on these strikes. They have no other option. But they also don't want to miss out on their education, and if they do have to, then they would like their money back. So, yeah, I think it's interesting to see how students have been reacting
and the 14
to this.
days. That's I think it's part of the issue is that it's such a long period of strikes.
Yeah, it's a really long strike. I mean, it's like
it's almost 10% of it could be up to 10% of someone's learning time for this year, and I think the disruption. We won't be able to know its full extent until the strikes actually happen, because we don't know who's part of the union. We don't know how many people of the union are going to strike. It could be that we only miss a couple of hours of. Yeah. But who knows? Yeah. That's the issue. I think it's the uncertainty that's making people.
Well, UCU are very effective strikers. I know last year, I think it was, they were protesting at open days. So they targeted university open days and set up picket lines at all the entrances to the university. And as you can imagine, this is one of the biggest days for the university. This is the day they, you know, plumb all money into and make sure that it's all perfect. And they were there picketing. So they're very effective strikers. They know how to get a message out. And 14-day strikes over 4 weeks is just another way.
Do you think there will be picket lines?
Yeah, of course. Picket lines are part and parcel of a strike, and the unions released advice about, you know, what to do if you encounter a picket line and things like that. Picket lines are what they are, you know, it'll be sort of a number of the most passionate staff there. There's also events like teach outs in the city. The point that UCU is trying to make is that they don't want 14 days off work, they want reform. So they're saying we're not just going to sit in bed and take the day off. We're going to do active things like these teach out events, like picket lines, to prove,
Yeah.
you know, we still want to be here. We're still happy to wake up in the morning and work. We're just not happy to do it in these conditions.
Well, they might not be taking 14 days in bed, but I might. So, yeah, thank you very much, Michael,
okay.
for joining us. That's been very informative. We will next be joined by Sam Possible, who'll be talking about Battle of the Bands, which is an event for Belrig FM. Last year, we went along to see the performances. Here's a look at last year.
Hi Zach, hi Sam, thank you for joining us today. You two are the organisers of Battle of the Bands, and tonight is the final. How's it going so far? How's the night going?
It's going pretty well, to be honest. I'm really pleased with the turnout. Ruby Beach have just performed their first act, the wild card act from the judges' choice, and I think I didn't get a chance to see them for the county heats, but I think they've been really good, and the crowd have really been digging it so far. Atomic Brass preferring in the moment, you probably hear in the background, but yeah, I'm really happy with the turnout, basically. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, same. I mean, I didn't turn up to the first heat. I know, shocking. So this will be the first time I've seen the Atomic Brass since they won last year. So it'll be interesting to see if they've developed at all. But yeah, again, really pleased with the turnout. Good to see people supporting music on campus. Yeah, just support it all you can. Really, it's been really good so far.
Yeah, it's a great event, but it does seem like a lot to organise. How has all that been?
It's had its ups and downs. Every single heat has been dramatic, to say the least. But we persevered, and we managed to pull through and put together a really good event, and that's what matters in the end. And I'm really proud of everyone who is involved, all the bands, all the acts, all the technicians. But yeah, I was thinking today, was it been worth it? And thinking about it now, I think it has been. So yeah.
Yeah, same again. I think there's been a lot of sort of different groups involved doing different things, but everybody involved has been really enthusiastic about it. You know, we've not asked everybody to help out, but people have sort of volunteered. There is kind of a sort of community spirit about it. So when you said the lead up to each event has been a bit dramatic, and you know, various things just going wrong at the last minute, but that's to be expected. And but in the end, every heat I think has turned out well. People have turned up, the bands have been good, more importantly, and yeah, it's been relatively smooth to the public, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But no, I'm just really proud to see how so many people are coming here tonight supporting the live music scene of Lancaster, particularly after last year. We both weren't particularly happy with how it was run, so Belrig FM took it in basically and kind of like made our own event. So this year's Belrig FM's Battle of the Bands, last year it wasn't. So we kind of the new and improved version, and hopefully next year will be just as good, if not better. Basically, yeah.
Okay, so what did you do differently this year than to last year, and what would you improve for the future?
Well, we kind of scaled it down a bit, didn't we? Last year we kind of there was a lot more heats, and a few of them got cancelled. And the final was in Sugar House, and we were both there, and we think that scaling it down a bit, there's dissonance in the club atmosphere with the live music atmosphere, but so like now we've got like a crowded room, a smaller bar, Pendle Bar, the home of live music on campus, I think, and a Thursday night as well. Everybody wants to come to Pendle Live. I think it's really kind of pushed it a little bit further, and I think we've appealed to so many music enthusiasts, which is a great thing and most important thing. Plus, it feels right to be in Pendle Bar performing music, whereas in Sugar House it kind of felt a bit odd. And we haven't had to cancel any of the heats, which is a nice feeling, basically. Yeah.
And I definitely agree there's a much more personal vibe in here than there would be in, say, the Sugar House.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty much the main reason, because it all depends on the act who wins. You know, it's all very well, you know, Atomic Brass pretty suited to it. Fighting Bears last year, I think, also quite suited to it. But say if we had, you know, Alex Haslam or some smooth jazz get to the final, that wouldn't really work in Sugar. So, yeah, it's very much at home in Pendle. You know, the amount of people that turned up on a Thursday night for it, I think, you know, is sort of like a good sign of that. And, yeah, we've not had to cancel anything, which is good. All the judges have been really good as well. I think their criteria has been pretty top-notch. So I think we've got the right bands playing, we've got the right venue, and we've got a good turnout, so yeah.
So overall, it's really good. And improvements for the future?
Improvements for the future, a few organisational kind of things, administrative side of things. But improvements for the future is that we need to. This is the first step in making the live music scene in Lancaster great. We just need more events like this, and hopefully we can see more of these throughout. You have to wait a year for the next Battle of the Bands, something we can have more great live music events consistently this good, this consistent turnout, maybe in all the bars on campus. That's the dream. It may not be realistic enough, but we want to get there basically, yeah.
we've got some plans in the background working with different people. So hopefully next year at least there'll be a lot more live music present on campus. That's come from campus itself, that's come from the students, and we're not imported from anywhere. So a lot more homegrown, organic stuff next year. So I think hopefully if the plans work out, which they might not, as we've learned so far from organising this, but hopefully it'll come, and next year it'll be bigger and better. And I won't be here to see it, but Sam will, and I'll get him to report back to me.
You're going to come back for this though, aren't you?
I'll just be standing back with some shades on.
Yeah, make live music at Lancaster great again. I had to do it, guys. Yeah, well, I'm really excited to see who wins tonight, and have a great rest of the night. Well done for organising all this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you.
The winner of Battle of the Bands 2017 is... it's 3 minutes to midnight!
We are now joined by Sam Possible from Balerig FM. Thanks for joining us, Sam.
Always a pleasure. So you're here to talk about Balearig's Battle of the Bands. Can
Yes.
you tell us a bit more about it?
Yes, so tonight is the start of Battle of the Bands 2018. It's the return of last year's competition under our kind of ownership. So previously Battle of the Bands had been done by Lucy, and we took it over in the kind of transition period last week, and now this year it's totally our own. So I'm really excited for tonight. It'll be in Furnace Bar tonight, the first heat of 3 kind of events. So there's 2 heats, 1 final in Pendle, and 2 heats in Furness and County. So 7:30 tonight in Furnace Bar.
7:30 tonight at
Yes.
Furnace Bar. Because it's a proper competition. You've got
Yes.
rounds and you've got heats. The final last year, what was it like?
It was really good actually. As always, events are very stressful to put on, and last year was no exception. But it made it so much worth it. So worth it.
We know what you meant.
Yeah.
We knew what you meant.
It was really, really good actually because I'm in charge of publicising it all, and seeing Pendle Bar full of so many people who actually did kind of who actually want to see live music.
Yeah, and support.
Exactly, it's
other
really
people's.
nice. Yeah. It's kind of it coincides with a Pendle Live event. Last year, same as this year. So we always get that crowd too, but it's always really rewarding, I think, to see it all kind of wrap up and come together in the end. So yeah, it's tricky to organise it all.
Yeah,
but it's super
definitely.
worth
But it's
it.
worth it.
Yeah.
And Pendle is the best place for live
Yeah.
music on
So,
campus.
2016, yes. The final was in Sugar, which was... It was really nice to see bands being formed in Sugar. It's just that I don't think the audience was the right fit. So in Pendle, which is kind of the home of live music on campus, wasn't really any other option to host a final anywhere else,
Yeah.
really. So yeah, it's really good.
And in terms of actually competing, I'm guessing it might be a bit too late to compete this year. But how do people sort of get involved and contact you about competing in this?
Well, obviously we kind of from last year we've kind of Balearig's like to build a kind of a network of contacts of people who kind of are interested in live music. So we love live music as much as everybody else, and so we kind of keep in touch with Liam's Indiana and Alternative Music Society, as well as ULMS Music Society as well. As well as just the music community in Lancaster. So we have acts like Jonathan Parks, who won last year.
We know
We know
Johnny
Jonathan
Parks very
Parks.
well.
We know him well.
Yeah, exactly.
He often appears on LA1 TV.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of people kind of who are interested in live music and performing it kind of gravitate towards Balearic FM because obviously they love music too,
Yeah.
and they want to kind of play it on their show or something like that, or talk to people who have similar interest. So obviously kind of it's very personal, but also at the same time we publicise a lot. So we did a big push this year in trying to get bands to sign up that we may not have met before.
Yeah.
So there's the big publicity campaign for that. But a lot of people come to me and say, I wish I'd done it this year.
Yeah.
And it's it's always great to kind of start as early as possible. We know a lot of bands who have only been a band for a week, which is really exciting to see what they're going to be like, or for a term. And I would say for the bands who were thinking of doing it this year and are still around next year, definitely look forward to the competition next year because it will be happening, and
Just keep an eye out. I
keep an
suppose.
eye out for a sign up link.
Yeah.
Because you're bound to see it with the amount of publicity we'll be doing. Yeah.
So you've talked about the first round is in Furnace Bar at 7:30 tonight.
Yes.
When are the other rounds?
So the first heat is in Furness. The second heat is in County next week. Thursday the 15th, 7:30, County Bar. So tonight's lineup, we gave bands a choice of 2 heats when they signed up, and tonight's lineup is 3 acts. Next week is 5 acts.
Okay.
And there's 3 acts tonight. Alex Haslam, who was training from last year, Def Chef, and Ben Crumpton. And next week's going to be, it's kind of going to take it up a level because we have 5 acts: Ruby Beach, Sam Steele, The Trip, Daytime Lions, and Susie and Ben. And there's so much variety. That's kind of, we don't want to limit ourselves in terms of how we're publicising it. So live music, it's, if you want to see people kind of like putting them all into performance to win, a recording session to record one of their tracks, then County or Furness, make your choice, but definitely try and come along to both. And the final will be in Pendle.
Final, yeah.
Thursday the 22nd, week 16, I think. And it's Pendle Live. It'll basically be an all-out, we have a lot of tricks actually. A lot of tricks, kind of like a lot of features that we've got to make it more of a show. So I'm not trying to say that there's a big novelty prize involved.
Keeping some
that's
hints there.
exciting.
Yeah. But no, on the 22nd, obviously linking it back to before, first day of strike, so it's going to be like everyone will have had a nice relaxing day,
Exactly,
hopefully.
yeah.
Or a very fun day. And, they get to come to your event at the end of it, so that would be great fun for them.
Yeah, and I think it's really good that you mentioned the variety that you get at Battle of the Bands. That's so true. I mean, I went last year to the final, and it was just amazing. The atmosphere was incredible. Have you ever found that bands specifically come together and form just to compete on Battle of the Bands?
Exactly, yeah. A lot of people have been putting posts out on Facebook groups saying let's do it. I think it's a really good time at university where people are kind of like, you know what, I'm young, I'm in a place full of like-minded people who kind of like feel the same way. Let's just have fun, take a risk, do it, and I think one band last year. I think the Alligators, I think they formed very quickly. I was considering doing the same this year, actually.
Oh, you should have.
Should have done. That would have been great.
I was considering doing like an improvised electronic bit with Dan Power from Scan, but we figured the audience wouldn't enjoy that as much as we would.
No, we would enjoy
We'd
it.
have enjoyed it.
We would enjoy
if you're enjoying
covering
it,
that.
we're enjoying it.
I was coming to meetings here to meet with Joel, saying like, "Oh, can we get some coverage for it?" And I was just like, I'm making this a lot. If people actually do come to this, I don't want people seeing it. So like, it's kind of the more popular I made the event, the less likely I wanted to perform. Basically,
Oh, okay.
so
Fair enough.
shot myself in the foot there. Like.
And with such a diverse, crowd of musicians doing such diverse musical styles, how on earth do you decide a winner?
Well, we have our judges. Where I know one of them is definitely Harvey Fallshaw, head of music at Belag FM. Basically, so last year we decided judges. We sided with the judges' choice. Obviously, we kind of base it upon we want kind of obviously technical skill, but also originality, which is something we're looking for. We understand that a lot of bands won't be able to kind of write their own songs, may still be quite forming. So we highly encourage covers as well, but we think that a cover is a perfect opportunity to kind of put your own spin on a song. So, for example, I know for a fact that Alex Haslam does a really good take of Sandstorms by Darude.
Really?
Just with an acoustic guitar.
That's amazing.
And it's something you don't want to miss. But yeah, it's very good.
Is that happening tonight?
It's happening tonight. Yeah.
Oh,
We'll be
there for some
Yeah.
Sandstorm.
Well, I hope so, because that's kind of Alex's I think that's one thing I always look forward to when I see Alex live. So yeah.
And speaking of the winners, it was Johnny Parks' band 3 Minutes to
Yes,
Midnight,
it was.
wasn't it, that won last year?
Yes.
And we spoke to him a bit on another show on LA1 TV about how his band's getting on. He's just recorded a song with that band as well in a proper recording studio.
Nice.
Thanks to Battle of the Bands.
Obviously, he got a taste for high quality production from our competition.
Of course,
yeah,
of course.
So
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
all credit goes to Belag FM.
How are the other bands doing that competed? Have they gone on to do similar things?
Well, basically, yeah. So basically, because we've only been running a competition for 1 year, we have some returning people from last year. So Ruby Beach has gone to, I think, has been slowly climbing the ladder and been doing really well. The Trip as well is returning from last year, and like I said, lots of returning acts, but lots of really interesting newcomers too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think because a lot of bands are in university, we kind of want to try and keep it to like a university kind of
Yeah.
competition. A lot of bands are kind of, you know, are in the same area, obviously. But yeah, like obviously, previous band like the Calls, you know, I've gone success. Last time I saw them, I was at the Lancaster Music Festival, which is another great live music event.
Yeah.
Which is why we publicise ourselves as the biggest live music event on campus.
On campus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's so much live music going on in Lancaster.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just you have to find it.
In fact, yeah, and
this is part of it.
I remember Jonathan created a great discussion on Facebook a while ago about sharing this Guardian article talking about Lancaster, and there's a comment from somebody saying there isn't much live music on offer, and we were like,
I saw that. Yeah.
and
It did take me by surprise. I was just like, what?
yeah, exactly, and hopefully this whole Battle of the Bands thing can prove that wrong. Basically, I'm determined to kind of like basically show that the Guardian doesn't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So the first heat is tonight at 7:30 in Furness Bar.
Yeah.
The final is on the 22nd in Pendle. So I'm sure we'll see you there.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Here's a look at what's coming up on campus this week.
So elections for the new Lancaster University Students' Union full-time officers will be opening soon. If you're thinking about running for the candidate, the Candidate Academy will be doing a short presentation on what you can run for and the top tips for campaigning and writing your own manifesto. One of the events is this afternoon at 1 p.m. in Charles Carter A05. The other sessions will be on the 15th of February at 11 a.m. and the 21st of February at 2 p.m.
On Saturday, snow sports are heading to Val de Rossi for the first time this year. It's only £5 for transport, racing and hire, and the event starts at 1 p.m. until 10 p.m.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and the Defying Dementia Student Society are providing rose delivery services. If you want to give a wrapped, personalised rose to anybody, then they will be on campus from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. They can deliver it to your door, or you can pick it up from their stall.
Also on Valentine's Day, Sir Ian McKellen will be visiting the university. The actor, who was given an honorary degree, will be come to campus as part of LGBT History Month. Sir Ian said that he's delighted to be making his debut at the university, and he'll be talking about his experience as a gay man from his childhood in South Lancashire. The event will be in the Great Hall at 3 p.m, but unfortunately all the tickets have sold out.
We hope everyone had a great week, and we shall see you next week for another episode of Good Morning Lancaster.
Goodbye.